Hi, Miles. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing well. How about you?
Very well, thank you. Let's get into it. So, we're continuing the series on the differences between the UK and the US, and today we're talking about dating. And we've spoken a little bit about the first dates, who and a few social norms, and who asks who out and stuff like that. So, Miles, we're a few dates in. Everything's going well. What's the next step? What's sort of what's the next milestone after a few dates?
Hmm. So the way I see it, it kind of breaks down into like hooking up slash sexual, and then kind of like social family, and then like um, I guess like starting your own family.
Mm.
So in terms of like the sexual side, I would say a big milestone is when when two people have sex, when two people sleep together, and that can honestly occur on the first date. It can occur on the second or third date, or later dates, or even some people, although this is less common, will wait until marriage to have sex. But that definitely does happen. And yeah, how would you kind of break down the progression?
Yeah. So in terms of milestones, which is kind of like things that are like significant changes or significant events that happen. So we could say, yeah, the first time, the first date is a milestone. The 6 months of a relationship is a milestone, or yeah, sleeping together for the first time is a milestone, and things like that. Marriage milestone, they're like important events, no?
Yeah.
And I would say in England, if we're speaking about the first time that you both sleep together, I'd say that again it can change. It could be the first day, it can be all the way until the first night of marriage after you get married. Not very common. Not something that I
Not here in the
personally,
U.S. either.
no, not something personally that I believe in. But yeah, I would say the average is we have like rules that you say. Like some people
Hmm.
say, like the 5 date rule. Like after the fifth date, if everything's going well, you it's like common for people to spend the night together. After the fifth date is a common thing. Is there anything like that in the US?
I think the rule that I've heard is actually a 3 date rule. So maybe we're moving a little bit quicker. Yeah.
Ah, 3 date, mate. I maybe we should move to the US.
Yeah. Come on over.
No, yeah,
Uh,
in England, yeah, people say the 5 date rule. I think that maybe is, I don't know, from a movie or something like that. I've not
mhm.
seen it, but it's around there. 3 or 4 dates. You've had the conversations, like, what do you want to do with your life? You've made some jokes. You've got to know the person, and
Mhm.
obviously, I think there was always a sexual attraction between the people that are going on dates. You often ask someone out on a date that you are already attracted to. So yeah,
Yeah.
around 3 to 5 dates is that. And
Yeah.
then Miles, in the US, how long is it until you introduce whoever you're dating to your friends or to your family, to your parents?
So friends, well, you could have met this person, the person that you're dating, through friends. So either it's right away, or usually if it's, let's say, someone off a dating app or someone new who your friends don't know, usually you've probably known this person for a month or two at least, maybe longer. At this point, the relationship is more serious. Um, and then with parents, I mean, that could be many months. You don't want it to go too long in the U.S. because that might be a bad sign or a bad signal. So I would say for friends, maybe a month or two is normal, and then for parents, maybe 3 to 6 months if everyone is living in the same area. And what's it like in the UK?
Yeah, again, a lot of the people that I've dated, for example, were a friend of a friend, or we had a rough social circle. Like we went in the same circles, so they'd already met my friends. But yeah, if they were from someone that I met in a bar, I started speaking to them, and then we went on a few dates and things like that. I would say, yeah, maybe a couple months, like 2 months. It's more for me personally, it would be when I thought, oh, this relationship, me and that person, we're going somewhere, we're gonna continue. Um, if I thought, oh, this person is fun, or this person is nice to be with, but I can't imagine myself with this person in the future, I probably wouldn't introduce them to my friends, because it'd be a bit like, I don't know, you wouldn't, it doesn't make sense, to have to go through the process of introducing someone that's gonna, you're not gonna be within in a month's time, something like that. But it depends.
Yeah.
In terms of meeting my parents, like it would have to be probably, yeah, like 6 months or a year of a relationship, and maybe it would be like a bit at the next big event, so the next Christmas or the next something like that, an event. I would introduce them to my parents, I think. So yeah,
Yeah.
6 months, a year, and then depending on when the next event was, but it'd be quite a long time.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. And I'm curious, in the UK, if it's the same, I'm wondering if in the UK it is the same as the US, where other milestones with family include, let's say, getting together for holidays like Thanksgiving or Christmas, or going on family trips, or attending a family wedding. Are those also kind of big milestones in the UK?
Yeah, definitely. Like the events one is a big thing. Like I would say, if a friend of mine was getting married, like a big milestone is like, oh, I invite that person as my date to the wedding, for let's say, for
Mm-hmm.
example,
You're plus
or
one.
my plus one. Yeah, that's kind of a next step, that you could do, and that's kind of a demonstration, or like a sign that maybe the relationship is has gone to the next step, when they get invited to, or you invite that person to a big social event, where, yeah, your family will be there, or all of your friends will be there, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And yeah, that would be, it depends. Sometimes you just get invited to a wedding and you need a plus one. You have a plus one, and you just say, do you fancy coming to the wedding? But yeah, if it's
Mm-hmm.
something, maybe if you had to travel for the wedding, it would you would have to think quite hard. Like, do I want to invest time and money in going to this event with this person? But yeah,
Yeah.
and in
They
the
would
US,
yeah. Hmm?
the same, similar.
Yeah, very similar. Sometimes you might just need or want to bring someone with you as a date to a wedding, or what's called a plus one, like what we were saying. But if the wedding were far away, if there a long distance needed to be traveled, and it was more of an investment, or something like that, it would carry more weight.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
and I think probably after that step in the US, moving in together is kind of the next big step, or the
Mm.
next big milestone. Is it also the same in Britain?
Yeah, like, yeah, you're at a point where you're seeing each other, once, twice, three times a week. Um, they're probably spending multiple days at your house, or you are at their house. So the next logical step, if you want, is that you move in together. You rent an apartment, or they move in with you. That's the next step. And in the UK, I mean, I've seen people kind of informally move in, like
Yeah.
you leave a toothbrush.
I was just gonna say the toothbrush. That's a sign.
It's a big sign. I mean, it's it makes sense. I'm not a fan of sharing a toothbrush, so just bring another toothbrush.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Gross.
and then there's a little bit of clothes,
Yeah.
other toiletries, other things,
Makeup.
Makeup and stuff like that. And then obviously at some point you have the conversation, do you want to pay half the rent? And
Yeah.
that can be. People say 6 months, people say a year, something like that. I've seen it be. I know a couple that they're actually one of my students. They're married, but they don't live together. Which I thought they're like super super happy from what I gather, but they don't live together. They don't work well living together. They want their separate space, which is something. But yeah, I'd say most people, a year is the usual time frame. And in the US, how long?
Yeah, I would say a year or even longer. I have a friend who moved in with a girl and moved states after a few months, and it's worked out super well. But I would say normally it's a year or two or even longer before people take that step.
Yeah, and then after that, it's marriage if these people want to get married, and I assume it's fairly similar. Like you maybe live together for a year, 2 years, someone proposes, and then you end up getting married, engaged marriage, if that's something that you want to do. I think it's becoming less and less common, marriage. I don't know in the US, but in the UK, it's becoming more common that you have couples that are together, they live together, they have children, but they're actually not married. They never had a wedding.
Yeah, exactly. Where people might be legally married, but they never officially got married, let's say in a church or something like that. Also very common in the US now, or more common than before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and in the US, is it common for people to have children outside of marriage? We say so. It's a couple, but they're not married, but they have children.
Yeah, more and more than before in the past. Couples will again legally be married or be together, but will not officially be married. But then we'll start having kids and really be starting a family. And yeah, is it also that sort of phenomenon is occurring in the UK?
Yeah, a lot. Like now, people can have like I think they're they have like a civil partnership, or they're like
Mm-hmm.
for all legally speaking, they are married in terms of all of the legal side of it, of the kids and everything like that. And yeah, I think a lot of people, because I think we're becoming less religious, and marriage has to do with obviously the religion has the religious aspect to it, so it's becoming less common. But people still want to have children, and I would say also that there's a lot more people having life partners, but they don't have children as well.
Mm-hmm.
They actively choose not to have children, but they're still with that person
Yeah.
forever. We hope.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Even though in the US, I would say, or I think about half or 50% of marriages end up in divorce. And I think the typical marriage here in the US only lasts about 7 years.
7 years,
So,
yeah.
yeah.
It goes against when people say their vows, the words that they speak at the wedding. They say, "Until death do us part." So we're gonna be together until we pass away. But in the US, the average is 7 years.
Yeah.
In the UK, I don't know what the average is, but we have a saying that's called the 7-year itch. So 7 years, and itch is like this, but
Yeah.
itch can also mean like when you're uncomfortable. So we say the 7-year itch is when someone that's been in a marriage for 7 years, it's common for them to feel like, oh, I want something different. Like I'm itchy to leave this person to find something. So yeah, maybe in the UK, it's divorce is definitely common. And yeah, I would assume it's around there. The average length is around 7 years. But yeah, we have a saying called the 7-year itch.
Looking for a change.
Yeah, looking for to change it up. Yeah, a new wife every 7 years. No.
What a life!
Cool. Well, yeah, I think that we've come to the end. We've gone from getting to know the person for the first time, the first date, the other milestones, the social norms and stuff like that in the UK, and we've arrived and we're divorced. So we've done all that, and we're in both countries. It just ends in divorce.
Hopefully not, but
hopefully not. No,
a lot certainly.
But yeah, cool. Yeah, it was interesting to know about the similarities and the differences. As always, we hope everyone watching enjoyed the video, enjoyed the topic, learned some English. And yeah, let us know in the comments what it's like in your country. What's the process of from the first date until marriage, having kids? Is it common to have kids? Is it common to get married? And when do you move in together? And it'd be interesting to see what the differences are in different countries.
Definitely. Yeah, let us know.
Perfect. Awesome. Pleasure as always, Miles, and I'll see you next time.
Yeah, that sounds good. Take care.
Ciao, ciao.